What kind of family locks their daughter-in-law in a shed like a forgotten tool? I'm August Monroe, 54, a former Army man turned construction boss, gripping the steering wheel of my pickup as the California highway stretches like a scorched ribbon under the August sun. My calloused hands, marked by 2 decades of service and 10 years building my company from dirt, stay steady despite the 3-hour drive from Riverside to Oak Ridge. My daughter Callie, 27, hasn't answered my calls properly in 3 weeks, just short texts, clipped, like someone else wrote them. Busy with house stuff, Dad. Landon's work keeps him away. Her words feel wrong, hollow, not like the girl who laughs too loud at my corny jokes or argues politics over dinner. The radio drones about record-breaking heat, but I snap it off. I've driven through worse in desert convoys, sweat soaking my uniform. Today, though, something else beads sweat on my forehead. A father's instinct screaming trouble. Oak Ridge emerges over a hill, its tree-lined streets and Spanish-style homes reeking of old money. Callie's been here since marrying Landon Keats 2 years ago, into a family that made it clear I don't belong. I visited twice, felt their eyes sizing up my work boots against their polished floors. The Keats estate looms at the end of Maple Grove Drive, a 5-bedroom monument to wealth with a pool, 3-car garage, and expectations heavier than the oaks shading their lawn. I park my dusty truck next to a gleaming Mercedes, climb out, and head for the door. Marjorie Keats, Landon's mother, opens it before I knock, her silver hairs in a perfect bun, her cream dress defying the heat. "August," she says, not moving aside. "What brings you here?" Her smile's a practiced mask. "Came to see my daughter," I say, keeping my voice even. "Surprise visit." She nods, steps back just enough for me to brush past. She's out back, working on her projects. The word projects drips with judgment, like Callie's a child playing pretend. I walk through the chilled marble entryway, past a chandelier that costs more than my truck. Family photos line the walls, Landon, Marjorie, Silas, but none of Callie and me from the wedding. Erased, like we never existed. "Beautiful home," I say, testing the air. "We maintain certain standards," Marjorie replies, hands clasped tight. She directs me through the kitchen, all granite and stainless steel, to French doors opening onto a patio. The heat hits like a fist, the kind that makes breathing a chore. My shirt sticks to my back instantly. The patio's a shaded oasis, ceiling fan, cushioned chairs, a sparkling pool, but my eyes lock on a wooden shed in the yard's far corner, baking under the sun with no shade, no awning, just relentless heat. It's deliberate, a punishment disguised as a structure. I cross the brittle grass, boots crunching, the shed growing uglier the closer I get. No windows face the house, just a single one toward a high fence, perfect isolation. I knock. "Callie? It's Dad." Her voice, shocked and thick, comes through the thin wood. "Dad?" The door opens and my world tilts. Callie stands there, hair damp with sweat, face flushed red, wearing a wrinkled tank top and shorts. Behind her, a narrow cot, a plastic bin of clothes, a useless fan stirring hot air. The thermometer on the wall reads 104 degrees. "What the hell is this?" I step inside, the heat pressing like a living thing. "Dad, you can't be here," she says, glancing toward the house. Marjorie doesn't allow what? I grab the thermometer, staring at the red line. "Jesus, Callie, how long have you been living here?" She wipes her forehead, eyes down. 3 months since Landon left for his contract. 3 months. The cold rage I felt in war zones settles in my chest. "Explain it to me." She sits on the creaking cot, voice cracking. "Marjorie's rule, no non-blood family in the house when Landon's gone. I'm not a Keats." Her words carry shame, exhaustion. Dark circles ring her eyes, her lips crack despite a half-empty water bottle. She's been rationing, surviving like a prisoner. "Have you been eating?" I ask. "Mornings, before they wake up," she says. "Kitchen's locked at 10 for security." Her bitter laugh chills me. I look at the window, hidden from view, designed to keep her invisible. "Pack your things," I say, pulling the bin toward her. "We're leaving." She protests, worried about Landon's career, Marjorie's influence. "But I've seen enough." "This isn't temporary," I tell her. "This is abuse." She hesitates, then nods, grabbing clothes. "We're going to war, and the Keats are about to learn what that costs." We walk back to the house together, Callie clutching a small duffel bag, stuffed with her few belongings. I leave the plastic bin of sweat-stained clothes in the shed on purpose, wanting the Keats to confront the evidence of their cruelty later. to explain how it fits their precious family values. The air conditioning blasts us like an Arctic wind after the shed's oven, my shirt soaked through, sweat dripping despite the short trek. I can only imagine what 3 months of that has done to Callie's body and spirit. Dehydrated, worn down, her once vibrant energy dimmed like a bulb on its last flicker. Silas Keats is in the kitchen, leaning on the granite counter with a crystal glass of bourbon that smells expensive, aged longer than some of my crew have been alive. At 65, he looks soft, untested, his polo shirt crisp white, khakis creased sharp, loafers shining like mirrors, money's armor against real work. Marjorie stands beside him, arms folded, eyeing Callie like mud tracked in on fine carpet. Her annoyance flashes quick before she masks it. She didn't plan for this showdown. August, Silas says, sipping casually, his tone suggesting we're inconveniences to swat away. Marjorie mentioned you'd dropped by. Drink? No thanks, I reply, stepping forward with Callie behind me. We need to talk. Of course, always happy to chat with family, he says, but his empty smile says otherwise, the kind rich folks use on waitstaff. Is that what you call this? I gesture at Callie, her flushed face and rumpled clothes screaming neglect. Family? Marjorie's chin lifts, her posture screaming old aristocracy. We've provided Callie with accommodation appropriate to her status. The shed is perfectly adequate for temporary housing. Temporary, I echo, my control fraying like old rope. 3 months in a 100-degree oven is temporary? Silas sets his glass down hard, ice rattling. Our house, our rules. Callie understood the arrangement when Landon left. What arrangement? I step closer, smelling his bourbon breath. Treating my daughter like hired help? Locking her out at night like a stray? We maintain certain standards, Marjorie interjects, her voice laced with the authority of someone used to obedience. Blood family has priority in our home. Callie can return when Landon does. I turn to her, towering over her tall frame, my decades of muscle from battlefields and job sites making her tilt her head back. What you've done isn't just cruel, I whisper, fury coiled tight. It's stupid, and I'm gonna make you regret it. Her hands tremble slightly, but she holds ground. Is that a threat? A promise? Silas slams his glass again. Now see here, Monroe, you can't come into our home and intimidate. Your home, I cut him off, voice rising. Where you shove my daughter in a shed like a dog, make her beg for kitchen time, decide she's not good enough to share your air? Callie could have made other arrangements, Marjorie says, confidence waning. She chose to stay. No one forced her. She stayed because she loves your son. I snap, grabbing Callie's duffel as pathetic proof of her stripped life. Thought family meant something to you. She was wrong. Silas straightens, face flushed. Anger or liquor, hard to tell. You're making a mistake. We have standing here. Friends, influence. People who matter listen to us. I smile then, not kindly, the grin of a man who stared down rifles and won. Good. That'll make this more interesting. I turn to Callie, who's been silent, watching her in-laws unmask with horror dawning in her eyes. Ready? She nods, pale but resolute. Ready. We head for the door, and behind us, Marjorie's voice sharpens with fear's edge. Don't think this is over, Monroe. I pause at the threshold, calling back with parade ground precision. Lady, it hasn't even started. My house in Riverside is modest, a 2-bedroom ranch on a quiet street with trees older than me. Small compared to the Keats palace, but it's mine. No blood rules, just hard-earned comfort. I crank the AC to 68 degrees and brew iced tea while Callie showers, the water running long, washing away months of grime and humiliation. When she emerges, she looks reborn. Hair clean, skin cooled, clothes fitting properly. The haunted glaze in her eyes softens a touch. Sit, I say, handing her a glass clinking with ice. Tell me everything. She settles at the kitchen table, same spot she ate breakfast as a kid. Blue placemats faded but familiar. Where do I start? The beginning. When did this start? She sips, eyes closing like it's nectar after drought. Before the wedding. Little comments. Marjorie asking when I'd learned proper cooking, mentioning Landon's ex from old money. Nothing big enough to fight over. My jaw tightens, but I stay level. What about Landon? He missed most. Marjorie was sly, waiting till he left the room, phrasing as helpful suggestions, like, perhaps cooking classes, dear, the wives in our circle know their kitchens. Callie's imitation nails Marjorie's honeyed venom. And you never told me. Guilt shadows her eyes. Dad, you sacrificed everything after Mom died. 2 jobs for my college, no dating, no life for yourself. I wouldn't burden you. I take her hand, skin smoother now. Your problems are mine, always. I thought I could handle it. Once we had our place, it'd stop. But you never got your own place. Landon's engineering firm struggled. The Keats offered their home temporarily, save money, get stable. But with conditions, respect hierarchy, proper behavior, contribute expenses. How much? $1,800 monthly, most of my paycheck. Marjorie called it fair for utilities and food, teaching responsibility. I bite back curses, that's robbery for family. When Landon left, 6-month contract overseas, good pay for our future. Day after, Marjorie's new rules. Blood family only, no guests without permission, kitchen mornings only, no pool or patio unless invited, no TV during family time. Callie stands, pacing to the window overlooking my vegetable garden. Simple rows of tomatoes, nothing manicured like theirs. The shed was guest accommodation for non-blood when the house is blood only. She called it rustic, character building. Did you reach Landon? Tried weekly, but Marjorie controls communications, forwards calls, filters emails, always hovering, so I couldn't explain without attacking his family. So you endured. Thought 2 more months, then our place. Make the marriage stronger. I join her, seeing excuses fade from her face. What they did is criminal. Unsafe conditions, economic abuse, manipulation. She nods, small-voiced. I didn't know what to do. Now you do. We're destroying their power to hurt anyone else. My smile turns real. I'm going to war, and I know how to fight one. We're barely out the door when Marjorie's voice chases us, sharp as a blade, promising this isn't over, but I'm already moving. Callie's duffel slung over my shoulder, her steps shaky but determined beside me. The Keats estate fades behind us, its manicured lawns and luxury cars mocking the shed's brutality, where my daughter was caged like an animal. My truck's engine rumbles to life, and I glance at Callie, her face pale. Eyes fixed on the road like she's escaping a prison. Riverside's 3 hours away, and the drive is quiet, the kind of silence that carries weight, her processing, me planning. My hands grip the wheel, calluses rough from years of swinging hammers and dodging bullets, now itching to tear down the Keats' smug world. Their standards are a lie, a velvet glove over a fist, and I'm not letting it stand. Back home, my small ranch house feels like a fortress of normalcy. No marble or chandeliers, just honest walls and a hum of safety. Callie's still in the shower, water running long, washing off the heat and shame. I pour iced tea, the ice clinking like a promise of relief, and set it on the kitchen table where she used to do homework, her laughter once bouncing off these walls. She emerges, hair damp, wearing jeans and a t-shirt, looking more like my Callie, less like the ghost from the shed. Her eyes, though, still carry shadows, dark circles fading, but not gone. Sit, I say, sliding the glass over. Tell me the rest. She sits, fingers wrapping the cold glass, and starts slow. It wasn't just the shed, Dad. It began before the wedding. Marjorie's little digs, like how I'd never match Landon's ex, some heiress with connections. Subtle, always when he wasn't around. My gut twists, but I nod, letting her spill it. She'd smile, say things like, "You'll need to learn proper entertaining, dear. Our circle expects it." I thought I could shrug it off. Landon didn't see, I ask. She was careful, waited till he was gone. He was busy, stressed, his firm was failing, barely making payroll. Callie sips, voice steadying. They offered us their place to save money, but it came with rules. Contribute to expenses, respect their hierarchy. I paid $1,800 a month, most of my bookkeeping job, while they called it fair. I clench my jaw, picturing Marjorie's perfect bun and Silas's bourbon glass, their wealth a weapon. Then Landon left, she continues, for a 6-month contract in Asia. Good money, our chance for a place of our own. The day after, Marjorie sat me down. Blood family only when Landon's gone. No kitchen after 7, no pool, no guests. The shed was my space, rustic, she said, like it was charming. Her laugh is hollow, bitter. She controlled his calls, filtered emails. I couldn't tell him without sounding like I was attacking his family. So you stayed quiet, I say, anger simmering. Thought I could tough it out. 2 more months, then we'd be free. She looks out the window at my garden, tomatoes ripening under a kinder sun. I convinced myself it was for us. I lean forward, voice low. That's not love, Callie. That's abuse, financial, emotional, physical, with that heat. Her eyes meet mine, guilt mixing with resolve. I know now, but what do we do? We fight, I say, my military mind already mapping the battlefield. Not with fists, but with truth. They care about reputation. Let's burn it down. I stand, pacing, the plan forming. Tomorrow, I'm going back to Oak Ridge. Neighbors, businesses, anyone who's seen their game will build a case. Callie's face shifts, fear battling hope. Marjorie's powerful, Dad. She knows everyone. Good, I say, grinning like I did facing down enemies overseas. More people to watch her fall. I think of the shed, its 104-degree air, Callie's cracked lips, and my blood boils. They declared war on you. Now they pay. She nods, a spark of the fighter I raised flickering back. What's first? Evidence, I say. Hard proof, witnesses, documents. They think they're untouchable. We'll prove they're not. I pause, softening. You're safe now, Callie. That's step 1. Step 2 is making sure they never hurt anyone else like this. She grips the glass tighter, a small smile breaking through. Okay, Dad, let's do it. The next morning, I'm up at dawn, coffee bitter in my mug, notebook ready. Oak Ridge is a 3-hour drive, but I'm wired, like prepping for a mission. The Keats influence is their weapon, social clout, old money, but every empire has cracks. I'll find them. Neighbors first, someone must have seen Callie suffering. Then businesses, maybe contractors they've screwed over. My buddy Lane, a deputy now, might know their dirt. I kiss Callie's forehead as she sleeps on the couch, blanket tucked around her, looking younger, safer. We're not done, I whisper, grabbing my keys. The highway waits, and so does justice. I'm not just saving my daughter, I'm tearing down a legacy of cruelty, one truth at a time. The highway to Oak Ridge feels longer today, my notebook on the passenger seat, each mile fueling my resolve to dismantle the Keats' polished facade. My hands, rough from years of combat and construction, itch to do more than write names and dates, but this fight needs precision, not fists. Callie's face from last night, pale, determined, finally trusting me to fix this, drives me forward. Riverside's safe for her now, my small house a shield against the Keats' cruelty, but I'm not stopping at safety. They humiliated my daughter, locked her in a 104-degree shed like she was nothing, and I'm here to make sure their world feels that heat. Oak Ridge glitters under the morning sun, its wealth a stark contrast to the shed's brutality, and I head straight for the neighbors, starting with Donna Briggs across from the Keats estate. She's in her 70s, sharp-eyed behind wire-rimmed glasses, and recognizes me from Callie's wedding photos before I say a word. You're Callie's father, she says, ushering me into her cozy living room. Family photos crowding every surface, a worn Bible open on a table, nothing like the Keats' sterile perfection. I've been worried about that girl, Donna says, setting coffee cups down, her hands steady but voice tight. Saw her faint in their yard 6 weeks back, near the fence. Went to help, but Marjorie came out, said Callie was just tired from yard work. I lean forward, pen ready. Yard work in this heat? Exactly what I thought, Donna says, eyes narrowing. Offered lemonade, but Marjorie shut me down, polite, but firm. She shakes her head. After that, I barely saw Callie, just glimpses early mornings, heading to her car. Did you know about the shed? Her cup rattles on the saucer. That garden shed? Dear Lord, in this heat? Her shock is real, her hands trembling now. Marjorie said Callie wanted privacy, but that's no privacy, it's punishment. I nod, jotting notes. Would you write this down, swear to it? Absolutely, she says, standing. I should have knocked on their door, demanded answers. I'll testify if needed. Next I hit Precision HVAC, a small shop on Oak Ridge's edge. Trey Hudson, the owner, is a stocky guy in his 40s, hands calloused like mine, wiping them on a rag as he recalls the Keats job. Weirdest call I ever got, he says, leaning on a counter cluttered with tools. Marjorie wanted ventilation checked for extended occupancy in that shed. I told her it wasn't fit for anything but storage. No airflow, just a tiny window. He shakes his head. Gave her a quote for a cooling unit, but she never followed up. Saw a cheap box fan in the window later. Useless. Will you document that? I ask. Got it all here, he says, pulling a file from a cabinet. June 15th, noted the shed's unfit for living without major work. I take a copy, my case building like a wall, brick by brick. My last stop is the sheriff's office, where Deputy Lane Corcoran waits in the parking lot, his lean frame and military short hair a reminder of our Iraq days. We shake hands, brothers in arms, and I lay out Callie's story. Hell of a thing, he says, leaning against his patrol car, notebook in hand. Legally tricky, adult, chose to stay, had shelter. But isolation, financial control, that heat, that's abuse in my book. He taps his pen. The Keats are old money, manage investments, run charity boards, but they're not loved. Rumors of bad deals, social blacklisting. Can we hit them legally? I ask. Tough, but possible, he says. Socially, easier. Their reputation's everything, he grins grimly. Heritage Committee meetings next week. They're up for a grant. Perfect place to air this. I nod, seeing the battlefield clear. Need witnesses? Evidence. You've got me, Lane says. I'll back you. Back home, Callie's at the kitchen table, sipping tea, looking stronger but still fragile, like glass mending slowly. Find anything? She asks. I spread out Donna's statement, Trey's report, Lane's advice. They're not untouchable, I say. We've got proof, neighbors, professionals, law. We'll hit them where it hurts, their name. Her eyes spark, the fighter I raised peeking through. They'll fight back, Dad. Let them, I say, smiling. They're bullies, and bullies crumble when you stand up. I think of the shed, Callie's cracked lips, the Keats' smug faces, and my blood hums with purpose. We're not just saving you, we're stopping them from ever doing this again. She nods, gripping my hand. What's next? Spread the word, I say. Let Oak Ridge see who they really are. I'm back in Oak Ridge by midweek, my notebook thicker now, each page a weapon in this quiet war against the Keats' legacy of cruelty. The town's wealth glints under the relentless sun, but I'm hunting shadows. Cracks in their perfect facade where truth can slip through. Callie's safe in Riverside, her color returning, but the image of her in that sweltering shed, face flushed and eyes hollow, fuels every step. I'm not just her father, I'm a soldier on a mission. And the Keats are about to learn what happens when you target my family. Their influence is their armor, charity boards, country club nods, but armor dents, and I've got a hammer. I start with the neighbors again, working beyond Donna Briggs, knocking on doors along Maple Grove Drive. Most shut me out, wary of crossing the Keats, but a few listen, their faces tightening when I mention Callie's fainting spell. Mrs. Larson, a retired librarian in her 60s, saw Callie hauling trash in 100-degree heat, her steps unsteady. I thought it was odd, she says, peering over her glasses. Marjorie waved it off as exercise. I'll write it down if it helps. I nod, another brick for my case. At the diner on Main Street, I overhear whispers. Waitresses swapping stories about the Keats snubs, like blacklisting a caterer who forgot a dessert order. I track down the caterer, a wiry guy named Paul, who's still bitter. They cost me 2 contracts with 1 phone call, he says, tossing a rag on his counter. Said I didn't meet their standards. He agrees to a statement, his anger matching mine. Next, I visit a hardware store where a clerk, Jenny, recalls Silas arguing over a bill, hinting at his temper when crossed. He threatened to ruin my boss's business, she says, hesitating but signing a note when I explain Callie's ordeal. Each testimony is a thread, weaving a net to trap the Keats' reputation. I call Lane Corcoran, my deputy friend, to check in. You're stirring the pot, he says, voice low over the phone. Heard talk at the station, folks saying Marjorie's lunch invites are getting ignored. Good, I reply. Keep listening. The Heritage Committee meeting is days away, where the Keats are pushing for a $50,000 grant to turn their carriage house into a luxury guest space, a sick irony given Callie's shed. I dig into their application, public at the town hall. It's polished, full of buzzwords, historical preservation, community prestige, exemplary family standards. That last one burns. Their standards nearly killed my daughter. I collect Callie's written account, detailing every rule. Kitchen access cut off at 7, no pool, $1,800 monthly contributions bleeding her dry. Donna's affidavit about the fainting incident is typed and notarized. Trey Hudson's HVAC report, with photos of the shed's single window and useless fan, is crisp in my folder. I add medical records from Callie's ER visit 2 weeks before I found her. Heat exhaustion, dehydration, stress symptoms, all tied to that 104-degree hellhole. Lane's advice sharpens my focus. Hit them publicly. Their name's their power. Back in Riverside, I spread the word through discreet channels. Coffee shop chats, a call to a local reporter who owes me a favor from a past job. Whispers ripple. Did you hear about the Keats' daughter-in-law, living in a shed like a servant? Oak Ridge's gossip mill churns and I feel the shift. Marjorie's usual allies, a country club matron, a charity co-chair, start dodging her calls, their excuses thin. I picture her in that marble entryway, checking her phone, confusion creeping in as invitations dry up. Silas, too, must sense it, his golf buddies suddenly busy. At home, Callie's eating dinner, her fork pausing as she asks, "Is it working?" I show her the stack of affidavits, the growing list of names. "It's starting," I say. They're feeling the squeeze. Her smile is small but real, the first I've seen in days. "What if they fight back?" "They will," I say, leaning back. "But they're fighting on my terms now." I think of the shed, its air like a furnace, Callie's cracked lips rationing water, and my resolve hardens. This isn't just about her. It's about anyone the Keats have crushed under their polished heels. A teacher they sidelined for challenging Marjorie's school board votes. A contractor blackballed for a late delivery. Small-town power plays that add up. I'm not just tearing down their name. I'm building a wall against their kind of cruelty. Next step, I tell Callie, is the committee meeting. We'll show Oak Ridge who they really are. She nods, gripping my hand, her eyes showing the fighter I raised, ready to see this through. Oak Ridge's streets feel charged now, like a storm building before the first thunderclap. My truck rumbling through neighborhoods where whispers about the Keats are already spreading like wildfire in dry grass. I've got my folder thicker with affidavits. Donna's detailed account of Callie fainting, Trey's professional takedown of the shed's dangers, even Paul the caterer's story of being blackballed for a small mistake. Each one is a bullet in my chamber, aimed at the Keats' heart, their reputation. Callie's ordeal isn't isolated, it's a pattern, Lane tells me over coffee at the diner, his deputy badge catching the light. They've stepped on people for years, he says, listing off a restaurant owner excluded from the country club after a minor faux pas, a contractor like me who lost months of work over a payment dispute. Nothing illegal outright, but it adds up. I nod, stirring sugar into my mug, my mind mapping the battlefield. We need more, I say. People who'll speak even quietly. Lane grins. You're the catalyst, August. Words out, folks are talking. I hit the pavement again, door to door, phone calls to old contacts from my construction days. The teacher, Ms. Reynolds, who got passed over for promotion after clashing with Marjorie on school funding, she's hesitant at first, her voice tight over the line. They made my life hell, she admits finally. Spread rumors I was unstable. I'll write a statement, but anonymously for now. I take it, another layer to the case. The contractor, Bill, meets me at his shop, tools clanging in the background. Silas shorted me on a job, then badmouthed me to clients. Lost 3 bids. His affidavit is signed bold, anger fresh. These aren't just stories, they're ammunition, showing the Keats' cruelty isn't new. It's their way. Back at the town hall, I pore over the Heritage Committee agenda. Item 7 glaring, Keats' estate grant application. $50,000 for preservation, turning their carriage house into luxury digs while Callie baked in a shed. The requirements mock me. Financial stability, community standing, proper maintenance, exemplary family standards. I'll shred that last one. Rumors are my invisible army now. I don't shout from rooftops. I plant seeds. A chat with the diner owner about Callie's heat exhaustion. A mention to the librarian of Marjorie's rules. Oak Ridge runs on gossip, and it spreads. Grocery aisles buzzing about the daughter-in-law in the shed. Coffee shops murmuring why Marjorie's invites are declined. I hear it myself at the hardware store. Clerks whispering, heard the Keats locked her out, treated her like trash. Marjorie must feel it, her perfect world cracking. Friends ghost her calls, lunches canceled with lame excuses like under the weather. At the country club, conversations hush when she enters, resuming in low tones after. Silas's golf games thin out, his influence waning like a setting sun. I picture them in their marble kitchen, Silas nursing bourbon, Marjorie clasping hands tight, confusion turning to fear. They thought money bought immunity. They're learning it doesn't. Callie calls as I drive home, her voice stronger. Any progress? Plenty, I say, merging onto the highway. Affidavits stacking up, towns talking. The meetings are strike. She pauses. Landon's due back soon. What if this ruins everything? If he can't see their poison, he's not worth it, I say gently. But I think he will. At home, she's in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner, her way of reclaiming normalcy. I spread the documents on the table. Callie's timeline of abuses, from pre-wedding snubs to the shed's isolation, medical notes on her dehydration, witness statements painting the Keats as tyrants. This is our case, I say. Public, undeniable. Her eyes scan the pages, fingers tracing dates. They made me feel worthless, she whispers. Like I deserved it. You didn't, I say, pulling her into a hug. And soon, everyone knows. The night before the meeting, we sit on my porch, breeze cooling the air below 90 for once, fireflies blinking like distant signals. Callie's healthier, stress lines fading, but doubt lingers. Sure about this, she asks. No turning back. Landon might hate me for destroying his family. If he does, he's blind, I reply, sipping tea. But evidence doesn't lie, he'll see. What if the committee brushes it off? Then we pivot, I say. But humiliation's their kryptonite. Tomorrow, in front of Oak Ridge's elite, they're exposed. She's quiet, listening to kids playing nearby, dogs barking, real life without manipulation. That shed, so hot, so alone. Not anymore, I say, and we're ensuring no one else ends up there. My mind races ahead. The packed hall, my folder open, truth spilling out. The Keats declared war. Now they face the consequences. The town hall parking lot is jammed when Callie and I arrive. More cars than for any regular Heritage Committee meeting. Words spread like dust in a windstorm, drawing nearly 60 people instead of the usual dozen retirees. Oak Ridge loves a spectacle, especially when it involves old money crumbling. And tonight, the Keats are the show. I carry my manila folder thick with evidence. Photos of the shed's stifling interior, Callie's medical records showing dehydration and heat exhaustion, affidavits from Donna Briggs about the fainting incident she witnessed, Trey Hudson's report declaring the space unfit for humans. Callie walks beside me, her hand tight in mine, nerves showing in her quick breaths, but her chin's up, the fighter I raised ready to face this. We take front row seats, the room buzzing with murmurs, eyes flicking our way. Marjorie and Silas slip in the back. Faces composed like actors in a bad play, but their eyes dart. Weary, they know something's off, but not how deep the hole is. Chairman Walter Hensley calls order at 7 sharp, his white hair and authoritative bearing commanding respect. The Keats have courted him for years with donations and dinners. Unusually full agenda and crowd tonight, he notes, glancing over the packed chairs. Routine business drags, approvals for a park bench, debates on signage, but I sit still, folder on my lap, heart steady like before a patrol. Callie fidgets with her purse strap, whispering, "What if they don't listen?" "They will," I murmur. Truth hits hard. Item 7, Keats Estate Heritage Grant. Marjorie rises, navy dress and pearls perfect, striding to the podium with the confidence of someone who's never lost. "Good evening, Walter Committee," she says, voice smooth. "The Keats family presents our application for $50,000 to preserve our historic estate, convert the carriage house to luxury guest accommodations, restore 1920s grandeur, bring prestige to Oak Ridge." She touts their 4 generations in town, highest standards of property care and family values. Polite claps follow, committee nodding. Everything as they planned. Sarah Phillips, a committee member, raises her hand. Exemplary residential standards, what does that mean? Marjorie smiles unwavering. We follow preservation guidelines, ensure proper housing protocols, respect traditions that make our homes special. Her words twist like a knife in me, echoing the rules that cage Callie. No more questions, and Hensley moves to public comment. I stand, walk to the podium, the room hushing like a held breath. I'm August Monroe, here about the Keats application, specifically their exemplary standards. I open the folder, pulling the first photo. The shed's cot, bin, thermometer at 104 degrees. This is where they housed my daughter Callie for 3 months while her husband Landon was overseas. A storage shed in brutal heat, no ventilation, no house access under their blood family-only rule. Gasps ripple, chairs creak as people lean forward. Marjorie starts to rise, but Silas yanks her down. I continue, voice even, military precise. Callie Monroe Keats, married 2 years. When Landon left, they banned her from the house, restricted kitchen to mornings, locked doors at 10. She rationed water, suffered heat exhaustion. I read Donna's affidavit, the fainting, Marjorie's refusal of help. Neighbor Donna Briggs offered aid multiple times, turned away. Trey's report next. Licensed contractor warned the shed was dangerous. Quote ignored. A box fan their only fix. Medical records. Prolonged exposure to unsafe temperatures caused dehydration, stress. I hold up Callie's photo from that day, face drawn, clothes sweat-soaked. This is their standards for someone not born Keats. The room erupts, shocked voices, angry mutters, committee whispers urgently. Marjorie stands, defiant. One-sided. We provided shelter. She could have left. With what? I counter. You took her paycheck for expenses, isolated her. Silas joins. Harassment. No proof of abuse. Lane Corcoran rises mid-room, uniform commanding silence. Actually there is, he says. Reviewed the evidence. Isolation, economic control, unsafe conditions, abuse under California law. Adult or not, it's criminal. Hensley looks stunned. Charges possible? Any prosecutor would pursue, Lane replies. Marjorie's composure cracks. She's sensitive. We asked fair contributions. If she couldn't handle it, she should have gone. Callie stands then, voice clear. Gone where? You drained my savings, intercepted Landon's calls, made me think complaining hurt his career. You treated me like an animal. The committee exchanges loaded glances. Phillips moves. Table the application pending investigation. Seconded, unanimous yes. Referred to county authorities, Hensley announces. Marjorie trembles, raging. Travesty. We built this town. Your family just lost its name in 20 minutes, I say, closing the folder. We leave amid the chaos, whispers following like echoes. Outside, Callie exhales. It's done. Almost, I say. Landon's back soon. Truth's out now. The Keats world is fracturing. Grants denied, scrutiny coming, their influence evaporating like morning dew. Landon's flight lands a week later, and I meet him at the airport alone, convincing Callie to stay home. This talk needs to happen man-to-man first, without her seeing his initial shock or denial. He looks worn from the long haul overseas, bags under his eyes, but confusion hits when he spots me instead of his parents at arrivals. August? Where's Callie? My folks? She's safe at my place, I say, grabbing his suitcase. Your parents are handling some issues. We need to talk. We drive to a coffee shop nearby, the air thick with jet fuel and tension, and I spread the documents across a sticky table. Shed photos, Callie's statement detailing the isolation and heat, medical reports on her dehydration, witness affidavits from Donna and Trey. Landon's face pales as he flips through, hands shaking. This can't be right, he mutters, voice cracking. Mom wouldn't. There's an explanation. The explanation is they're bullies, I say evenly. Used your absence to control her, nearly broke her. He stares at the thermometer shot, 104 degrees, and whispers, she was in there all this time? When I called, she said fine. Because Marjorie listened in, filtered everything. Callie protected you, thought complaining would hurt your career. Landon slumps, rubbing his temples, the weight crushing him like a poorly braced wall. Heat exhaustion, she could have died. Yes, I say, because she loves you enough to endure hell. We drive to Riverside in silence, him staring out at passing fields, processing. Callie waits on the porch, and I watch from the truck as he runs to her. Their embrace raw, 2 years of marriage flashing in tears and apologies. I give them an hour, then join in the living room. She's curled against him, both red-eyed. I've called a lawyer, Landon says straight off. Filing for divorce from my parents. Severing finances, business, all of it. Callie glances at me, surprised. Landon, you don't have to. I do, he says, arm tight around her. They hurt you, could have killed you, thinking their name made them gods. I'm giving Lane a statement for charges. Your inheritance? She asks softly. Don't want it. Nothing from people like that. He turns to me. August, help me find work at your company? I know it's entry level, but we need a fresh start. I study him, soft hands, educated, raised in privilege I never knew, but his eyes burn with real pain, genuine fury at his folks. Can you swing a hammer? I'll learn. Show up daily, sore and tired? Yes, sir. I nod. We'll see what you're made of. The divorce moves fast. Landon signs away estate claims, accounts, holdings promised since birth. In return, he demands a written admission of their abuse and apology. They refuse, so he goes public with the papers, allegations detailed. The scandal finishes their reputation. Silas loses clients, Marjorie's ousted from boards, a Florida resort rejects them flat. 6 months on, I'm on my porch with the Sunday paper, a small item in the Oak Ridge Weekly making me smile. Marjorie's charity gala flops, 18 attendees instead of 60, barely covering costs. Town's decided they're toxic. Callie and Landon rent a small apartment nearby. He's on my crew. clumsy at first with tools, but he shows every day. Callus is forming, earning respect from the guys. Callie's bookkeeping for a non-profit, helping families with services. Ironic, protecting others from what she endured, coming home excited about real impact. I've built a guest house in my backyard, same size as the shed but insulated, AC-ed, plumbed, comfy furniture, mini kitchen. Sign reads Monroe House, safe harbor. For anyone like Callie, no questions, just shelter to rebuild. 3 women have stayed so far, escaping bad spots, word spreading through aid networks. Lane filed charges months back, reckless endangerment, abuse statutes, and he's confident. Jury sees those photos, here's Callie, they're done. Criminal records will sting worse than jail for their type. Weekly dinners at my table are tradition now. Simple meals, honest talk. Work good? I ask Landon over plates. Frank let me wire the Morrison house. Didn't mess up too bad. He flexes hands proudly. Feels real, building something. Callie takes our hands. Legal aid wants me speaking at a conference, financial abuse in relationships. Do it, I say. Help others spot it, get out. After they leave, I walk to Monroe House, lights glowing warm. The Keats rattle in my mind, their empty mansion, fine things surrounding damaged lives, thrown away on entitlement. Justice isn't quick, but thorough, like army ops. Patient, determined. My phone buzzes. Callie, thanks for dinner, Dad. For everything. Love you. I text back, smiling. Love you too. Sleep well. Tomorrow brings work, but tonight, family's protected. Good prevailed. In my book, that's victory. As the evening light softens into dusk, I linger on the porch, the newspaper folded neatly beside me, its headlines fading like distant echoes. The air carries a gentle coolness now, whispering through the leaves of my old trees, and I breathe it in slowly, letting the day's tensions dissolve. Callie and Landon have driven off into the night, their taillights blinking like fireflies before vanishing around the corner, leaving behind a quiet that feels earned, peaceful. In these months since the confrontation, I've watched my daughter bloom again, her laughter returning in small bursts, her steps lighter, unburdened by the shadows of that shed. Landon's transformation has been steady too, his hands roughening with honest labor, his eyes holding a new humility that speaks of growth, of choosing love over legacy. The Keats, once towering figures in their marble world, now seem diminished, their influence eroded by the truths we unearthed, their isolation a mirror of what they inflicted. Yet, there's no sharp triumph in my heart, only a soft satisfaction, like the closing of a well-worn book. Monroe House stands ready in the yard, its warm glow a beacon for those still lost in darker places, a quiet promise that safety exists, that healing begins with one open door. As stars emerge overhead, I rise, the porch creaking softly underfoot, and head inside, the world outside settling into hush. Justice, in the end, isn't a roar, it's this gentle whisper, reminding us that family endures, that kindness rebuilds what cruelty breaks, fading now into the night's embrace.